Hey all, welcome to my channel. Welcome to the video. Today I'm going to talk about, well, it comes down to this. I was watching ESPN today, first take basically. They were talking about, what's his name? Aaron Rodgers and his comment and like how it was taken out of context, specifically when Gronk basically was talking about him, basically about his response as wanting an MVP. When in reality, Rogers basically did describe or talk about the fact on the Pat McCaffrey show, basically, as far as wanting to, being in a winning team, that he'll have, he'll gladly go for one more, 2 more years, so long as he knows that he can go all the way, winning the Super Bowl and trying to create that MVP season. And like Gronk was took it as being, why would you want an MVP versus a Super Bowl ring and all that stuff? So in reality, that's what it is. But comes down to this is, and then they brought up the fact that chances are he's not going to re-sign with Green Bay. He's probably going to go with somewhere else. And the same thing was with Tom Brady. Basically, it's like Tom Brady, should he stick with the Tampa Bay Bucks or should he just go on to another team? First off, with the Aaron Rodgers, um, whether he stays with Green Bay or not, it's going to be a tricky story. Honestly, I think it's time for him to move on. If he does want to stay for 1 or 2 more years, I think he does a Brett Favre and basically go to the Jets. But the problem is, by doing that, then he becomes someone that falls into the shadow of Brett Favre, basically, with the Packers and then going to the Jets. And if he, because I mean, the Jets have no quarterback, but they have enough offensive weapons and defensive weapons there that he could probably lead them into the playoffs for the first 2 years at least. And might do well with the Jets, honestly, or the Raiders for that matter. Whereas now, but in my honest opinion, I think, I mean, maybe Favre does have an extra year or two basically in him. Honestly, though, I think maybe it's time for him to maybe retire. And it's definitely the same thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady going to be 45, 46, 45 next year, basically, or the next season. I think it's time for him to basically retire. I mean, the man, I mean, honestly, you can't sustain it for this long, basically. I mean, granted, you have this whole workout regimen, basically, and that, football might have affected your personal life as a result, and so now you have left is football. But in reality, I think the man basically should retire. But if he does come back for 1 or 2 more years, then you got to come up with a question of basically like, you question his workout regimen, but the question comes down to is it just that too, or is maybe the fact that has this is this man being tested for PEDs? That's the real question that comes down to it, basically. Him and I hate to say it, maybe Aaron Rodgers too, because like I mean these guys are up there, and the fact that they're able to like run and such, or I mean at least Aaron Rodgers is able to run a little bit more, but like the fact that they're able to perform at this level at their age, I mean it does bring up the question of like, okay, is there PEDs involved? I mean look at it this way, like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, they were into their 40s. They thrived well into their early to mid 40s. But the thing was is as you look closer into it, you realize, and they had a workout regimen as well too on their own. But then as you realize, they some of that workout regimen did include PEDs. So the question does come down to is like, is Tom Brady possibly using PEDs? I don't know. I'm not saying he is, but how often does the NFL test him, and like does he have ways around it or something like that? Honestly, I think it's more of a case like there have to be surprise cases against him, test him out before and after the game, and such. Maybe draw out his blood for that matter. I don't know. Quite honestly, it's like a question of like man's 45 and he's doing really well in football. I mean like. Show me a 45-year-old football player that has thrived under these conditions. I mean, honestly, even Brett Favre was never able to do this. Now, granted, I'm not going to talk about how good Brett Favre as a player was good. As a person, whole different story altogether. But I'm going to leave it at that. Same thing with all quarterbacks. I mean, Troy Aikman, he had to go. I mean, he had to leave. He had to retire. Peyton Manning. I mean, like look at Peyton Manning. Arguably the one of the great quarterbacks out there, and like he had to leave, at an early age as well. Not an early age, but like at a later age of like 40, 42, basically 40, 42. There was no way he could go beyond that. He knew it himself. Uh, Eli Manning, granted, it was a forced retirement, but at the same time, I think he realized there was no way he was going to thrive beyond where he was at that point. So that's one of the things I think basically is one of the things you have to look at with Tom Brady. I mean, the man should retire, but if he doesn't retire, then I think he's got to be under a little bit more scrutiny under the NFL as far as testing is concerned, because there's no way a guy at the age of 45 can thrive. And if he's starting to thrive at wherever he goes at, I mean, you've got to start looking at him at that point. And I hate to say it, but maybe Aaron Rodgers as well too. To be quite honest, I mean, like, granted, he was a guy that says like, no, I won't do what's it called, you know, take the COVID vaccinations. But at the same time, this is a man that, you know, these are football players. Football players were notoriously known for taking PEDs. So the question is like, could Aaron Rodgers be taking PEDs? I don't know. But the thing is, everyone at these, you know, at a much later stage in their life, and they're doing really well, you have to look at them, which, you know, look at them under a microscope at this point and figure out like, are they doing something? Are they taking something? Um, that's pretty much it. But honestly, I think yeah, Brady. There's no, any team he goes to, I don't think he's going to do really well at. They have to have a really good defense, and they have to have a really good offensive line, as well as a good running back for him, and as well, of course, some receivers. Because without receivers, the man's not gonna. There's no way he's going to do anything. I mean, I think any quarterback can do that at that point. But the question is like, at this stage in the game, Brady should be more of a game manager more than anything else. And the thing is, you as just quarterback QB, you don't want to be the game manager. Like that's what the thing with Purdy is basically, as well as Daniel Jones. They're game managers. They are not full blown first string quarterbacks. Um, they have to be game managers. Um, so I mean, honestly, it's just going to be the same thing in Aaron Rodgers. But I think if Aaron Rodgers recognizes it to the point like the way Peyton Manning recognized it when he was with Denver, all he has to do is be a good game manager, protect the ball, minimize turnovers and such, to the point where like he can let it up to the defense. That's great. But the question is, what team can he go to that has a really great defense but doesn't have a quarterback? I mean, 49ers would absolutely make absolute sense. But the problem is they've already got two quarterbacks plus three in this case. The Cowboys possibly, but they've got Dak. So I mean, they're not. I mean, they've got too much money invested with Dak, so they're not going to let that go either. The Steelers, that's a possibility, but I don't think that's happening. I mean, honestly, that would be pretty interesting to see if Rodgers were to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I mean, honestly, I think he's probably going to go to a team where it has a much warmer climate. Uh, but I don't know. Well, like I said, it's more of a case for like we got to look and see like if he does go, if he does stay. Him and if Brady stays as well too, they both have to be tested. I think be put under a microscope when it comes to testing at that point, because like you can't thrive at this level without some sort of help. Quite honestly, but outside of that, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. What you think about it. I mean, please leave a comment about it. Uh, and I mean, I know I'm not getting any subscribers. Please subscribe. I do, you know, like ask for subscribers. But you know, it's more of a case where like, yeah, I do read my comments. I do answer them to the best of my ability. So please let me know your thoughts. Leave them in the comments about this, about with Aaron Rodgers, and for that matter, Tom Brady. What do you think Aaron Rodgers might go to? Do you think he'll still stay with Green Bay? Honestly, I think he's going to be kicked out or forced out the same way Favre was in a ways as well too. I mean, it'd be surprising to see if Aaron Rodgers goes the Favre footsteps as far as Green Bay and then to the Jets. Let's see what happens there. But in any case, with that, I'll leave it at that. Unedited, unfiltered, and unrehearsed. Until next time.